Alright, if you guys would go ahead and turn the appropriate page that your teacher assigned you tonight to watch our video on political cartoons. And then make sure as you guys turn to that page, do title the very top of the page, Political Cartoon C Notes. Because here we go. Alright, today, by the end of our session, you'll be able to do two things. You'll be able to analyze and evaluate political cartoons. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to know how to break down a cartoon and then also evaluate and make a judgment based upon the political cartoon. First of all, let's talk about what a political cartoon is. And when we talk about political cartoons, we're talking about pictures. A political cartoon is simply an interpretation of an event through the use of pictures. A political cartoon is always going to involve an event or an issue in pictures. Now, we need to know why we have political cartoons and what their purpose serves. Political cartoons help us to understand opinions surrounding history. Every political cartoon is going to show an opinion, and we call this one-sided opinion bias. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. Now, in order to get their opinions across, political cartoon artists will use a number of different things. They'll use pictures, they'll use symbols, words, and they'll use these pictures, symbols, and words to either make a positive or a negative impression of the event or person. Once again, political cartoons are always going to be one-sided. They're going to show bias, they're going to show an opinion, and they're going to do it a number of different ways, through pictures, symbols, and words. And we refer to this one-sided opinion, as I previously mentioned, as bias. You need to circle that word because you need to become familiar with it, not only for tomorrow in class, but for future references down the road. And bias is simply a one-sided outlook or judgment that does not address all sides of an issue fairly. So when we talk about bias, you're just getting a one-sided account. You're not seeing both sides. Rather, in a political cartoon, you're going to see one side of an issue, one side of an event, or one side of a person. So you do need to be aware of that political cartoons are highly opinionated and highly biased. So, alright, and anytime, so let's take a look at an example. Anytime that we're going to see a political cartoon, we're going to use OIC. OIC is an effective strategy not only for our maps, graphs, and charts, but it is also for political cartoons. So if I look at this picture, some simple observations that I'm going to make. One observation is I see a torch. I see words. I see words like prohibition and American tragedy at the very bottom. And I see an arm. Those are simple observations that I can make from this picture. Now, going from observations to inferring and evidence. I'm going to infer, I'm going to make a statement, a judgment that somebody is drowning in this picture. My evidence is it looks like we got some puddles going on here, and that kind of reminds me of water, and I know that it looks like this person is struggling to survive simply because all I see is their arm. I can also infer that this person is drowning in what might be a sea of prohibition or an ocean of prohibition, because the artist has strategically placed the letters that resemble the word prohibition in the middle of the water. So from there, I'm gonna kind of also infer that maybe this person thinks the United States is drowning in a sea of prohibition. My evidence is, well, I see the title in here. We're talking about American tragedy. I know a tragedy is a bad thing, a sad time. So maybe this is a sad time in American history. I see the location of the words prohibition, and it makes me think that this person is drowning because of this idea and this belief that the United States that Americans should not be able to legally have alcohol. So I've made some inferences. I've got my evidence. So my conclusion when it comes to political cartoon, I've got to think about why is the author or the cartoonist drawing this, and what message are they sending? And I can conclude from my inference, my evidences, and from my observation that this author thinks that prohibition is a bad idea. That the cartoonist thinks that prohibition is an American tragedy. That the United States is drowning in the ocean of prohibition. So when I look at OIC from a political cartoon point of view, when it comes to conclusion, I've got to determine, and I've got to be able to make a decision and evaluate why the author is drawing this and what the author is trying to communicate. So, we will work with political cartoons tomorrow, and you guys will be able to break down political cartoons through OIC and evaluate political cartoons in regards to what message the artist is trying to send. At this time, if you guys would go ahead and write down your 2 questions in summary for political cartoons. Thank you very much. Have a great day.